Good afternoon and welcome. Please silence your mobile devices. Thank you. Holly is going to be addressing this feedback. Our Vice President, Suzanne Streit, will introduce our invocation.
Silence. Dave Stutzman, would you please come forward?
Before I share the invocation, I need to tell you a little story. Grown. When we moved in about 4 years ago, it was soon after we moved in, my wife and I, and we were walking on the pathway that goes between Foxglove Loop and the creek. On the west side of the garden. And as we were walking along there, I looked over to the right, and in the backyard of one of those houses along Ermine, there was a sign. And I read the sign. I couldn't believe it. It said, "No praying." And now I've been familiar with Mennonite Village for most of my life, visited people here, and I know that praying has been a part of this community. And so, needless to say, I was very surprised at seeing this no praying sign. So I fretted a bit about that, and then it was the next day or so, we were walking on that same path, and I looked at the same sign. And that day, evidently, the sun was in a little different place or something. And then I saw the whole sign, and I saw the S that said no spraying. And obviously, I was relieved at that. We're used to seeing no spraying signs, but not the other. And so I'm certainly glad that we can pray. And we're encouraged to pray here on campus, and it's not prohibited. So I'm glad that we begin our meetings here with prayer. And I would ask you to join with me as I share a prayer for this invocation, which is very precious to me. It's a very special prayer. And it's attributed to St. Francis of Assisi. I pray it for myself, and I'd like to share it here today. So pray with me. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Thank you. So we'll begin the meeting. Oh, Oh, Melody, people can't see behind you the audience, so we're going to have to ask that that be not where it is positioned. Thank you. So Peggy will begin the meeting. Do we have the roll call and a quorum?
Yes, we do.
I will now ask for a motion to accept the minutes for the March 2nd council meeting. Lois provides the motion. Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor say aye. Okay, motion carries. The treasurer's report. Susan Turpin is not available today, and per our bylaws, when the treasurer is not able to perform the duties, the president assumes those. So I will give the treasurer's report and the summary for last month. In March, we spent $14 for the women's breakfast, $24 for the men's breakfast, and the cash balance at the end of March is $395. And that's the treasurer's report. So I want to begin now with welcoming warmly everyone who is here at the council meeting. The area reps will be able to ask clarifying questions at the speakers, and also to ask general questions at the time on our agenda where it's area reps questions and comments. Please remember to wait for the microphone when you speak. Please hold the microphone close to your mouth and speak clearly so that everyone can hear. Please also state your first and last name in the area you represent. I was reminded last month that I've been letting that lax, so I will remind you, please. We have two new staff who will be introduced today. They have a lot of names and faces to learn, so give them a heads up. Remember, when you ask for the microphone, state your name and your area. And if you wish to make a motion, a reminder that we encourage you to write it out before making that. The President's remarks. There is no written President's report to the board this month because the board will not be holding a regular March meeting. They will be holding the strategic planning workshop that we'll talk a little bit more about. So there is no report, nor will be one in the addendum. So I have two agenda items to bring you up to date about from the President's report. And one is related to all of our efforts on the visioning and strategic priorities. This is a celebratory conversation we're going to have today because the final report is done and is being distributed. The applause really goes to all of you. It goes to all of you as area reps, committee chairs, members of our community that held the conversations when we began this process in December. So the congratulations go to you for the conversations, report back, the participation in the February workshop, and the process we went through, which was to identify priorities to submit to you as residents to help us, council, go forward, have priorities for the next 5 to 10 years, and also for the board in their strategic planning process. So now is the time I ask for your help in also distributing the report. We emailed a copy to those who attended the workshop, and we will put a link with a PDF copy of the report with the minutes at the end of this week with the council meeting. The report is posted to the web page where we have our council bylaws and other documents. A hard copy is in the notebook in the library. And so I encourage you to distribute it and talk about it if you haven't already at your area meetings. And also a heads up for committee chairs, particularly in grounds and gardens, and also security advisory team, and some other of the committees, villagers' videos. There are recommendations in there of ways of starting sooner rather than later in some of those recommendations and priorities from our fellow residents. So I ask you to distribute it. I also say that it is a little overwhelming because who would really want to sit down and read a 12-page report on a beautiful day like today? So concentrate on pages 1 and 2 is the summary of the priorities and those 6 categories in which we identified and grouped, and that those will be the most important. There are, following that, 6 pages that are a narrative and has information that came from much of the input that was provided by you, the areas in your written submissions, which we had 27 pages of ideas. So there are those pages to read. The report is lengthy because we also add an addendum that has the workshop agenda, has who attended. Those are important as record going forward, or if you want to know how did this happen, you can look at that record. But I just want to briefly say that since we reported out last month, we improved and finalized and met with Diane Hood on the report, and that's the planning team. And the planning team is also going to periodically meet with Diane Hood and focus on action steps or ideas and the way we can work together to implement some of those. It is predicated on the strategic planning that is going to be done by the board at their workshop April 18th. So we thank her for that time and that commitment and input as well. So our 6 priority categories are inclusive governance and communications, that we wish to improve communications with administration, and administration seek input from residents before making community-altering decisions, projects, or policy changes. That it's a priority to maintain faith-based identity, culture, and mission. We embrace respect, integrity, and excellence. We identified a priority to increase residents' voice within governance and suggest an additional resident rep on the Mennonite Village Board. That category of items that it rolls up in there when you read the report represents 35% of the total votes at that workshop. Following that, we had the recommendation to right-size facilities and amenities going forward. That as the village expands, facilities need to accommodate the meeting, dining, wellness, fitness activities as vital, as well as improve technology using on-demand video streaming services, for example. That represented another third, so that was 34%. Affordability in housing. To sum it up, we emphasize keeping monthly fees affordable and efforts to achieve a more economic and racial diversity among residents and staff were identified as important. And that's 12%. Efficient transportation and greater access, planning for the future transportation needs both within the village as it expands, as well as to the communities of Albany, Corvallis. 8%. Environmental stewardship and resident safety is an important category. Items of importance were to work with grounds, gardens committees, security advisory team, and others on the strategic planning efforts to follow their recommendations. I think I said that, so I'm sorry for the repeat. Priorities include sustainable, low-maintenance native landscaping, and deliberate design and barriers and signage, things to make safe the path and the streets for pedestrians. And then the 6th is medical care and health partnerships, that we see the importance of the fact that Samaritan Health Services is affiliating with MultiCare Health Systems, and an opportunity to plan out in the horizon an on-campus medical facility potentially partnering that will help both residents, employees, and residents in all care areas. So in summary, it's comprehensive. There's a lot to it. To boil it down to those 5 minutes doesn't do it justice, but this is a compass for us going forward and a process and a product that we hadn't tried before. So that's the importance. Thank you. Now I'm going to switch gears. I do this a lot. Click now, go somewhere else. Item number 2 is that the Mennonite Village Council Executive Committee customarily practices that non-members do not attend the executive committee meeting. And that is the meeting we have the week before council when we work on the agenda. Last week, resident Diane Conrad attended the executive meeting. We considered that was an exception to our customary practice. It is not precedent setting. We discussed at that meeting with the executive committee that our bylaws, while they don't outright prohibit non-members from attending the executive committee, it clearly states that it's a membership committee and the purpose that it serves. And we also consulted Robert's Rules of Orders that states that during executive committee deliberations, only committee members have the right to be present. Again, unless invited. So I asked for a vote by the executive committee at our meeting on Wednesday, and it was unanimous that we will not change our current practice. And I just think it's important that you understand that was business we conducted last week in addition to the agenda setting and other discussions we had. I also realize that it may have been confusion that I caused. I like to own things too. That at the bottom of the agenda, where previously I had set the date and time of the executive committee meeting, that wasn't an extending of an invitation to come. So I have fixed it in this agenda and going forward that this is a deadline to get information or requests for the next council meeting. The deadline is by the executive committee meeting, which is held Wednesday, the week prior. Any questions? All right, thank you. Welcome back, Bill Roberts.
Thank you. It's good to be back, sort of. It's definitely cooler here than it is in Okinawa, where it's humid. So it's good to be back home. So, all right, what went on at the board meeting in March? The March board meeting was among the shortest of the 13 meetings that I have attended. It ran only an hour and 15 minutes. I didn't talk much that meeting. The meeting, I delivered the meeting's monthly devotion for March, and it was short to fit in with a short meeting. As is normally the case, I shared with the board what was on the residents' minds. Usually there are multiple items to share. However, this month there was only one area of concern raised by the executive committee. Residents were upset with some of the ways the new grounds crew are trimming vegetation. Some feel they were not asked about what should be done around their residences before trimming was undertaken. As they moved through the village, the newly contracted workers have made adjustments and are now going to each resident's door before yard maintenance does their work. The newly contracted workers seem conscientious. In one instance, a villager had a health emergency, and the maintenance workers stopped and assisted the resident until emergency crews arrived. Other meeting highlights, not that my things weren't the highlight, of course. One was the expansion project showed that the latest financial updated information was better than we'd originally estimated in the report in the fall. A Ziegler investment banker feels that our upcoming bond offer could be oversubscribed. That's a good thing. And that interest rates might be less than we had been predicting. Also later in our village council meeting today, I'm sure Diane can give us an update on what's going on with the funding and the construction. I know today I was trying to walk around the back, and they put up a fence there. I said, "You guys are blocking my walking." They said, "You ain't seen nothing yet." Second, the board approved a new foundation member, and I'm sure Holly will share with us more about that in a little bit. There's also a new nursing home administrator, Abraham Andrade, I think is his name. And then one of the keys to high-performing boards is that the board has to stay up to speed on what the latest industry developments are. And toward that end, I believe that over half of the board members attended a national faith-based healthcare conference in late March. And I will be attending a Leading Age Oregon conference in Salem this May. Under the generative thinking heading in the board agenda, there's a space in the agenda where we can talk if we want about things that we think could make the board better as we go forward. And I had talked to Diane about this and also to Brett. And so I suggested that in future board meetings, some of the information on what boards should look at for financial reports and how to interpret them might be helpful. Kim replied that she was ready and had a presentation and would soon share it with the board. So in the next month or two, she'll be sharing that with the board. Bill is also part of the ad hoc committee on strategic planning for the board, and we've met once in February and we'll be meeting again soon. At that meeting in February, the mayor of Albany also attended our meeting, and it was good to have his input on some of the things going on now and in the near future in our larger community. Kudos to Diane for inviting the mayor. During that meeting, the resident visioning report was discussed, and a copy has been sent to each of the members of that committee. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. So now we're ready for our committee summary reports. And I believe Keith is in the back with the microphone, or Suzanne. Who's your microphone runner? Okay, so Suzanne, I'll let you. Security Advisory Team report. And this is the part, Lynn, where I'm going to say your name and what area you also represent.
Lynn McGuire, Area 12. There were no incidents reported to me, and our next meeting is May 28th at 2 p.m. in Conference Room B. All are welcome. And as always, if you see something, say something in a timely manner.
Thank you. Emergency preparedness. I asked Barbara Hauge to speak at the podium today because she has some materials and some updates from the Emergency Preparedness Committee.
How about Barbara Hauge, Area 26? All of the area reps have in front of you some information that's from the Emergency Preparedness Committee. You'll have a sheet of paper attached, a little yellow piece of paper. You should have 2 pieces of paper in a plastic protector. This is information about the walkie-talkies and the birdhouses, and I'd like you to take this back to your groups and talk about it so everybody in your group knows what's supposed to be in the walkie-talkie birdhouse. And there's a little yellow piece of paper. You have right now a white piece of paper, and that's out of date, so take the white piece of paper out and put the yellow in it. One of the pieces of paper has a photograph of what should be in the birdhouse, and they're all labeled and numbered. So you should be able to tell if your birdhouse is fully, has everything in it. If you do not have the official Emergency Preparedness Committee tester for your batteries, see me after the meeting so I can get one to you later. And then if you have any questions, we can answer them later on. Okay? The other thing you have in front of you is compliments of the hard work of one of our members, and that was Nick Major. He was able to get a copy of this publication called Living on Shaky Grounds. He put them into a protective container for you, plastic, so you can take it back to your areas, use it for discussion of how to be prepared for emergencies on an individual basis. We've already talked about many times mapping your neighborhood. This is information from the Oregon Emergency Management Department, I believe it is. It's got lots of information. It's talking about how to survive tsunamis and earthquakes, practical information. Also in that folder, you have the 2 Weeks Ready program information, like we should all have 2 weeks of water and food in our houses to be 2 weeks ready. And also, I think there's a pen and a little notepad or something else in there. But all this is information that helps your residents become prepared should we have any kind of power outage for a long time or any kind of earthquake or tsunami. It's really good if you go to the coast. That booklet has what to do to be aware of should a tsunami happen to occur during your time at the coast. So it's really good information to share. Also, if you want your very own copy of Shaking on Earth, you go out to the website of the Office of Emergency Management and download it, and you got it. So that's it.
Any questions for Barbara? Thank you. Grounds Committee. Keith, up here, please. Thanks. And remember to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good afternoon. George Sahlstrom, Area 5. As chair of the Grounds Committee, I collaborated with Mr. Carpenter on the development of the new grounds policy to ensure it is clear, concise, and inclusive of all residents, including those who were previously advised by former staff that they could maintain no spray zones. I proposed a simple visual identification system using a color-coded green garden stakes to clearly indicate areas designated as no spray. This system is now being implemented. Mr. Carpenter developed the opt-out form, which you're likely familiar with. The new policy was presented to the Grounds Committee at our April monthly meeting. It's my sincere hope that future policy changes will continue to be developed collaboratively with full consideration of their impact on all residents.
Thank you, George. Garden Committee, I have a follow-up to add. It's garden, not a committee. But it's all gardens, right?
Well, at least my half. Just a wonderful thing. The water is on, if you haven't noticed. Yay. So everybody's planting. Hopefully we'll get the flat plots mowed so the ground will dry out, but we'll checking with the powers that be. Thank you.
Okay, Linda, while you're at it, do you have hospitality report?
Yes, I do. Linda Pearson, Area 16. A reminder, this month's speaker at the Women's Breakfast is Jessie Hostetler, who is one of our residents, and it's her information. Will be speaking on what she experienced in Vietnam. And the May 21st speaker is from the City of Albany Parks and Recreation.
Thank you. Is there any update for men's breakfast someone wants to share? No? Okay. Villagers video production.
Barbara Hauge, Area 26. This week, if you haven't gotten the email that comes out, that posts, I think it comes out on Fridays before the week, it has all the different videos we have on 1981. If you had any problems getting a hold of 1981 this weekend, it has been fixed, or so I've been told, correct? Right. And I think it's a good collection of videos this week. We have the Midnight Village Singers. We have a reading by Jackie Wilson. Gary Klein has got some great photographs of the Tulip Festival. Peggy Yoder has a poem for Thea, her dog, right? A special from Thea, not Peggy. Peggy just gets to read it, the dog wrote it. And then, very interesting in the bottom is chat time, aging or dementia. This is a really good conversation that Joe Winnerly and Greg Olson, one of our residents, had about this group. It's called Dementia Warriors. Check it out. It's really informative, and it's very helpful for understanding people around us and family. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, that's the committee summary reports. So now we welcome Diane Hood, our CEO.
I am going to start by introducing you to our new Director of Sales and Marketing, Caitlin Cecil. She's on day 6, and I'll let her share a little bit about her background and anything else she wants to share about herself. And then I have a few report items.
Well, I can't say this is not intimidating. Hello. I'm Caitlin. I am from Salem, but my grandparents lived here in this community back in the 80s and 90s. So this is very, very fun for me to be back in a place that I grew up and absolutely adored when I was little. I remember playing in their little backyard in their cottage and have photos of it, and I love to reminisce as I drive through the community. I look forward to meeting all of you one by one over probably 10 years. I know there's a lot of you out there, but I am so excited to be here. I've been in senior living for almost 10, 15 years now. I might look young, but I've experienced a lot in my short time on Earth, and I'm very happy to be here with all of you now. It's been a dream of mine to work here, and I feel very blessed. So I appreciate you all having me.
And it has been a joy to work with her on day 6. A couple things. So first of all, in the future, Caitlin will provide this at future Village Council meetings, but the census report, and I'll make sure you get this, Peggy, fully in writing. I know I sent you part of it. Independent living, our cottages were at 97% occupied. Mennonite home is 95.2%, which is 40 rooms. Lydia's house is 75%, that's 21 occupants. Quail Run is 82.3 with 4 more people moving in, which takes it to 86.5%, or 79 to 83 occupied apartments at Quail Run. Introduced you to Caitlin. Strategic planning. The Village Council visioning and strategic priorities. I want to thank the Village Council Executive Committee and the Village Council and, of course, the Planning Committee that's been working on this for your work leading to this strategic visioning session that with residents and staff that was held a month ago? Longer? Yeah. The completed report has been added to the materials for our Mennonite Village Board retreat, and as Bill mentioned, has already been shared with the smaller ad hoc committee. It has also been shared with the facilitator for our meetings, and he and I have spent the last couple weeks fine-tuning the agenda and keeping the priorities you have brought forward in mind. The gathering, which Bill mentioned, I attended along with 4 of our board members, was held this year in Indianapolis. It was a combined group of Mennonite Health Services Association and Friends Services Alliance, which is now combined into one group called Accord. They called it the Gathering because this year they added the Methodist, the Presbyterians, United Church of Christ, and I might be forgetting a religious group. So it was about 500 people. It was much more robust than it's been in past years. The sessions were covering all sorts of different topics of things happening in our space with communities like ours, but also covers other communities that serve seniors, adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, and also other programs like foster care and adoption. So kind of a culmination of human services under these faith-based traditions, and I found it absolutely incredible. It was excellent. The board members that attended felt the same way, seemed very engaged, and I think it'll be helpful to bring this forward to our strategic planning session on the 18th. Construction. So the fencing is up. Everyone has seen it. Bill ran into it. Preparation is underway to get the demolition and then construction started. We're starting with the kitchen and the memory care building. The cottage construction will start when the ground dries out. We're kind of aiming for June, but of course you never know, right? I said if this keeps up, maybe we get a head start. Who knows? We've definitely planned with the typical Oregon spring weather in mind. And we'll let you know when things eventually start moving on campus, on whether there's trucks or stoppages or things that you need to know about. Right now, they're really working on the mobilization, and they're planning to get ready to start the demo. Lastly, as Bill shared, our bond financing closed officially on April 2nd, so last Thursday. So it was $86,215,000. We have 22 investor organizations that are holding various segments of that $86,215,000. We were oversubscribed. I mentioned this maybe at the town hall, but some of you might not have been there. So when the bonds went out to market the week before, we were able to get online, Kim Scott and I, and be in a room and watch the orders come in, which was absolutely fascinating. So they had 1 hour to put their orders in between 6:30 and 7:30 our time. And we knew how much we needed in each maturity, in each category. And it was interesting to watch the various investors buy, or even people bought multiple chunks, and then watch it expand. So you'd see the line where the amount was we needed, and then you'd see it double, triple. It was fascinating. So we were oversubscribed 4.4 times the amount of money we needed. So 4.4 times $86,215,000 worth of people interested in investing in what we're doing here at Mennonite Village. Our investment banking firm Ziegler had pushed the interest rate down early in the morning before the room opened up, and we were told without that we probably would have been oversubscribed 8 to 10 times, but as the interest rate decreased, good for us, pay less, but for them, earn less, then of course the interest for some people, it wasn't going to fit in their portfolio for what they were looking at making. So all in all, an incredibly successful day for us here at Mennonite Village, and we're really excited to have the money now. It's very safely and specifically invested and will be held by our trustee, which is U.S. Bank National out of Minnesota, and start spending it on things we got going on, right? It was very exciting. The projected financial results, as Bill mentioned, we did end up, I think many of you know, with an investment grade credit rating, very unusual. We now have the highest credit rating of any organization, not-for-profit in Oregon. Super proud of that. We beat my former community. Really proud of that, not gonna lie. Really proud of that. Not competitive, not even competitive at all. Both Kim and I were kind of dancing a little private jig of our own, which probably no one else really cared about. But really proud of where we are financially and what this means to this organization and how this project is projected to perform. So, thank you.
Any questions for Diane for those agenda items? So we could get the microphone to Lois. And Lois, you get to introduce yourself.
Lois Malango, Area 24. Diane, can you share the interest rate?
All in, it's around 5.1. So that's long bonds going out 35 years, and then 3 smaller, they call them tranches of shorter term bonds. And Kim Scott will be working on kind of a bond financing, kind of where did the money go, how did it all work. She'll share who some of the investors are and so forth, and we'll get that scheduled for a little bit later this summer or midsummer. But yeah, it very exciting. Yeah, and much lower than we ever would have projected. The credit rating helped a lot, for sure, and also we hit a really weird little pocket in this incredibly volatile market, so I call that faith and a lot of prayers, because we were very fortunate with everything going on. If we had financed even just a few days later, the rates would have been about 0.25% higher. So God was looking out for us too.
Any other questions? Okay. Holly, our director of the foundation, welcome.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I have just a couple quick things on my list to talk about. Foundation board update. So last month I shared that we had found the right person to fill a vacancy on the foundation board, and that was just pending Mennonite Village board approval per our bylaws. So I'm pleased to announce that Connie Isaac has joined the foundation board, and we're really excited to have her and her wealth of knowledge around nonprofits and foundations specifically. She's been really involved behind the scenes, so really excited about that. And at this time, we're not actively seeking any more board members, so we'll update you all when we are. Next, I have the Fraud Fighter Summit. So for the second year in a row, we're bringing back the Fraud Fighter Summit May 14th in this building. There will be a small vendor fair in the classroom, so it's a little bit different layout than last year. And the vendor fair is from 9 to 11. And then after the vendor fair in this room, the main room, we're going to have 2 presentations, which do require registration because space will be limited in here. So the first at 11 o'clock, that'll be a Sheba SMP representative talking about Medicare fraud and scams. Same, I believe it's the same representative we had last year, and she was wonderful. And then at noon, we will be joined by a representative from the Oregon Attorney General's office to discuss current trends that they're seeing. So the link to register for that has gone out in the Friday Flash. It's going to be in the next Village Update. If there's not already, there will be a flyer on the bulletin board out here at Lakeside Center, or you can just call the foundation or Community Life and we can get you scheduled for those. Oh, and it's on the foundation tab on the resident website as well. That's all I have.
Any questions for Holly on those subjects? So I think Connie Isaac is attending today. If she wouldn't mind, can you stand up, Connie? Congratulations for being named to the board and give us a wave. All right, Eric Carpenter, Facilities Director.
All right, good afternoon. Before I get started, I'd like to first introduce Justin Cady, our new Facilities Operations Manager. I'm going to save him from having to come up and talk. Justin will be helping oversee day-to-day operations within the Facilities Department, supporting maintenance projects and grounds. And we're going to be working very closely together, and that'll kind of free me up a little bit to focus on larger planning, capital projects, and overall campus strategy. All right, I've got a few questions to answer today. I'll start with Coffee with the Contractors. We've scheduled 2 upcoming Coffee with the Contractor sessions to create more focused space for questions and discussion. The first one is this Thursday with R&H Construction. That's at 10 a.m. in the chapel. And then next Monday at 9 a.m. is with Storm Landscaping. So these meetings are sort of designed to give residents direct access to the contractors and allow for more detailed conversations. Woodshop update. The remaining of the components that we ordered will be installed on Wednesday, and we expect it to be fully operational by next week, and we'll send something out in the Friday Flash this Friday. So I'm expecting next week will be will be up and running with the wood shop door on the backside there. Also, we'll be adding a section into the village handbook outlining the process and expectations of use with the liability waiver and how the badges work and that type of thing. So that'll be going out too. Okay, this is a multi-part questions, and it's grounds update. This is a few different sections. Plant identification, we're not going to be using those tags that we talked about to identify personal shrubs. Instead, we're going to keep the process simpler and make it more consistent for our crews. George showed the stake that we're going to be using, so that's what we'll be using for the grounds crews to identify. Herbicide and pesticide opt-out. So yeah, we've added the opt-out option for the pesticide use. These forms have been shared electronically, and they'll also be available in facilities in the community life office. If residents choose to opt out, let me back up a little bit. We had to do a cutoff for the opt-out, right? So I wanted to wait till after coffee with the contractor with Storm, so next Monday, so all the residents can come and get clarifying questions and answers. And then the following Friday, we'll do a cutoff for the opt-out so we can get started. Let's see. Okay, resident maintained areas. Okay, for areas that have traditionally been maintained by residents, we understand there are some unique situations. We're not cookie cutter, and we had to update the policy, but we do understand that there are outlying circumstances. So residents can reach out to Michelle and schedule a time for me to come out and take a look at some of those areas, and we'll evaluate those areas on a case-by-case basis and to kind of determine the best path forward. Okay, what does Mennonite Village maintain? Okay, here we go. The village, as far as landscaping, the question was, what does Mennonite Village landscaping maintain? So we maintain lawns, shrubs, trees, foundational landscaping around the homes and common areas that include lawn care, pruning and plant health, weed and invasive plant control, targeting pesticide use when needed, soil, bark, and landscape bed maintenance. That's the standard we use to maintain consistently across the campus. And I mentioned this last week, and there's still some, I'm just going to say this again. So established campus standards, what does that mean? So when we reference established campus standards, we're referring to the operational guidelines Mennonite Village uses to maintain the campus in a consistent, safe, and well-maintained condition. Some of these standards are included in the resident handbook, while others are operational standards used by facilities and our professional contractors to maintain the campus appropriately. So that's kind of what, it's kind of a broad. Special requests and additional fees, that was one of the questions. There are some services that fall outside standard maintenance and may include a fee, right? Some examples, large item disposal like mattresses and furnitures, that would fall outside. That would be a fee. Dumpster delivery, that would fall outside. I do believe, I was reading the handbook earlier, we do offer one, but anything other than that, additional dumpsters, if you're moving out, so that would be an extra fee to have a dumpster delivered. And then certain repair services, such as golf carts and things like that, those fall outside of things that we provide. And then also, if something comes up that's not clearly defined, residents can contact facilities, and we'll review it and communicate if that falls in or out of the services that we provide, right? And let's see. That was it. That was it. Thank you.
Questions for Eric on these topics? So I'm going to start here with Debbie.
Debbie Weber, Area 25. When you said there was a deadline for your opt-out form, and you said it was the following Friday after storm, so is that going to be April 17th? Am I looking at?
Yeah, it'll be the 17th. That's a Friday. Yeah.
Okay, so April 17th at the end of the day, so if somebody's really late, they still have a chance?
Monday we'll start implementing, right?
Okay. And the second question I had was, because you didn't address this one particularly, a lot of people always mention edging, lawn edging. Is that included with?
That is included, yes.
Okay.
So if there's an issue, and I have heard that, and I kind of relay that to Storm, if there's something that's being missed, I typically let them know, and I'm hoping that they're going back out and edging it or catching it the next time. So I am relaying those.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, I saw a couple hands come up down at the end. So Suzanne, if you could catch Linda and then Jean, and then I'm going to have her come back. I'm doing it in the order that hands caught my eye anyway.
Linda Pearson, Area 16. Just in the last couple of weeks, we've noticed that Storm is not mowing the orchard. Is that correct?
That is correct. No, Storm is not mowing the orchard. Yeah.
What about the grass south of the sidewalk?
South of the sidewalk, which?
Uh,
From what I'm aware of right now, it's the area by the RV lot, the grass outside by the tracks. They're not mowing. We're doing that internal. The orchard, and I'm not sure where you're referring to outside the sidewalk. But
Well, then the grass that goes around the in-ground plots.
I'm sorry, one more time. In-ground
The
flower
grass around the in-ground plots of the garden.
As far as mowing,
Yes.
that I'd have to look into. I don't believe so. I believe that we're doing that in-house.
Okay. Thank you.
Linda, if you just pass it to Jean, thanks.
I didn't want to put Suzanne on the job.
Yeah, I will double check that though as well. I'll double check the contract.
Jean Amundsen, Area 15. Eric, this storm landscape coffee with a contractor, will that be in the chapel also?
It is in the chapel, yes.
Thank you. And the opt-out for spraying forms, where all are they available again? That was too fast for my handwriting.
Yes, they'll be available in facilities and the, what did I tell you? Community life office.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Mark over here.
Mark Nord, Area 23. Two questions. It wasn't quite clear to me about the stakes that are going to identify whether that also included shrubs that the resident wanted to take care of, or was that only for the pesticide or herbicide use?
That's only for pesticides. Yep, but we're not going to prune your personal plantings.
Yeah, but how did they know which are our personal plantings?
There's been a lot of discussion about that, and that's why they're knocking on doors.
Yeah, but if they're knocking on doors and we're out of town for a week, there's got to be a way to identify them that is...
It's a rough one, right? There will be mistakes, but we're doing our best, for sure.
I think there should be an easy way to identify which ones are in care of the resident, so work on that. The other question is about the wood shop. What hours is it anticipated that the wood shop would be available?
Oh, I'll have to look at the hours. It is Monday through Friday. I believe it's 8 to 5 or 8 to 5.
Okay, so working hours.
On the wood shop. I have to
Okay,
look.
thank you.
Were there other questions for Eric related to these topics? Okay, so we'll hold that question. We have Q&A later, Melody, for Okay. Yeah, you may be back, I know, to the microphone. Thank you, Eric, very much. Welcome, Rachel.
Hello. Three new residents to welcome. So the first one is Susan Vaskill. She moved on to Columbus. Looks like she's here. Yay, hi. Area 9. And then the other is a couple, Gail and Edward D., moved to Becker Circle, Area 16. I don't see them waving, so those are the new residents this month. And then a quick reminder of our shredding day is April 25th, 9 a.m. to noon in the Essen House parking lot. Noon. Probably no questions on that.
Are we going to let her off easy? No questions related to those topics. Okay, thank you very much, Rachel. All right. Executive Committee did not identify any old business for the agenda. And then we did not identify any new business. Is there any motion from any area rep for an item of new business? If you have a motion, raise your hand, get my attention. Okay, seeing none. We have no action items from prior council, no request for a resident to have 3 minutes to speak. So now we will go to the area reps' questions and comments. And we'll go around a circle, but we'll come back again if you think of something later. I would like to start with Suzanne on this end. Charlie or others, as she walks by you, raise your hand if you, as area reps, have questions.
Linda Pearson, Area 16. Has there been any discussion, will all of the trees where the memory care going, any of them be saved?
So Eric, I'm going to ask you to come to the microphone to answer the question. Thank you.
And also the plants in the old nursing home garden, will any of those be saved?
I'll have to look at the plans. Most of those trees over by the new memory care are coming down. That is, yeah, and what was the other area? And I'll have to look at the blueprints to see which.
Where the kitchen is going, the nursing home garden.
Yeah. Oh, the courtyard. I don't think we're doing anything in the courtyard. Yeah. No, those will all stay. We have to clear it out for now. But it's that section. The courtyard is we're not doing demo in the courtyard. Is that correct? Yeah, I'll have to look. I don't believe so, but
it's a good question.
The wing, we're taking down the one wing. I think that most of the courtyard is safe, but I'll have to double check.
Yeah, so we'll have this as a follow-up, if that's all right.
Oh, that good. Yeah, Thursday that would be a good time to ask that question with the contractors at coffee with the contractor. That's a great idea.
Okay, we're circling still, half moon shaped circle. Melody.
This is a question for Eric. I was coming into the village just this past week, and I saw a person with the security, and they were going so fast through the village that they couldn't have seen anything. So, just a heads up.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and that's the Mid-Valley security that we contract with, she's saying, circles through quickly.
Yeah.
Did I catch that, Melody? Okay. Joe, introduce yourself, although we know.
Joe Winery, Area 12. Eric, I want you to mark this day on your calendar. This is kudos for what you've been able to accomplish during the time that you didn't have this new intermediary to handle things. It is to the credit of Storm's landscape crews that they are diligent to the degree that they are, and the effort they're showing both in productivity and in caring for things like not hitting my 25-year-old Saab when they mow. So kudos to you for getting the fountain going and for other efforts on our behalf. Thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. So, Ellie, introduce yourself, please.
Ellie Carson, Area 10, and this is for Eric, too. I can't get much closer. Yeah. Has there been any decision made as far as any of the trees or shrubs that are going down during the construction to be able to be moved over to our area for the fencing, for the shrub?
We have talked about that, and if they can be saved, they will. There's going to be a lot of construction. I don't know that they'll be able to be saved, but if any can, we will definitely.
Would you be moving them over for us? Would you be moving them over by the RV lot for Area 10?
The request has been for a barrier.
I'm still envisioning. You're down the tree line, correct? More to come. I'm still working on that section over there. We've been talking about it for a while with the fencing and with the shrubs. I have gotten some quotes, so that might be something to consider if we can save any of those. That's definitely could be a possibility, sure.
George Solstrom, Area 5. I have two questions from residents in our area. First one is, when will the floor plans for the new 30 duplexes be available? Apparently they're not available on the website.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to when they'll be available.
So it's okay, Eric, we'll switch it to Diane.
I will visit with my new friend here and see that we could get those put up.
Okay, second question is, can you explain the details of the prices in dollar amounts of the duplexes? It was not clear in the village update. For instance, 45/40%. What is that in dollars?
So there's a variety of contract options on the new duplexes. So the first one is the lowest priced option, and that is zero refundable. So you'd make your payment of around $460,000-$470,000-ish, and it'll amortize out early on, and there's no refundability. The second option, there's two options in the 45% refundable, 40% refundable. And remind me, is the higher the couple or the lower? I always forget. Okay, so you'd get 45% back. It might be the opposite. 45% back if you're a single, 40% back if you're a couple, and those entrance fees are not the highest, but they are higher than the zero. And then there's an option that has a lower monthly service fee, but a slightly higher entrance fee. And then the last option, 85/80, 85% refundable if you're single, 80% refundable if you're a couple, and those entrance fees are the highest on campus for those cottages. So it's kind of a mixed, and it really depends on what a particular resident is looking for, what maybe some of their own financial goals are, and the idea of having options. Thus far, and we are not surprised, the majority have picked the 0% refundable. Not all, but the majority. And that's what we expected. We're known for fairly low refundable contracts today, averaging around 25%. the contracts that all of you are here under. So what we're kind of known for is that lower refundability, but we did feel it was important to have a variety. And so the prices are set so that we are neutral on which option a prospective resident picks, if that helps. Yes, sir.
Could you explain when the money comes back? So for the existing residents, for me, when we leave, or if we went to Quail Run, we get back our 25%. Under the new setup, if we go to Quail Run or if we leave, is there a difference?
Yes. So these contracts, as some of you know or have heard, have a small meal allowance or meal plan. They also provide a health care benefit, a discount on health care, and there's some other nuances. So if you move into one of these new cottages and you have a refundable contract, the 40-45 or the 80-85, those refunds are not made until you leave the campus entirely. And frankly, much more typical of contracts locally and nationwide, that your contract or your entrance fee remains with Mennonite Village, the refundable piece, until you leave the campus. This has no impact or change on any of the contracts any of you are under, and these new residents are well aware and have seen contract language and know what they're signing up for. And the reason for that is that we're essentially providing you a discount to stay on campus through end of life, and therefore your refund comes at that time, or if you move off campus totally. That makes sense? Thanks.
Okay, Keith, have we come through this group? Are there reps past George? No questions? Any other area rep opportunity to identify that if you have a question that you've thought of now? So I take that as no additional questions from area reps. All right, thank you. So we are ready to adjourn our April meeting of council. Thank you everyone for sharing this beautiful afternoon together. Thanks.